Our first step in installing the H220 is going to be to install the pump, and we're going to start on the back of the motherboard and install the back plate. As you can see, the back plate is actually notched on one side to line up with two screws on the top of the Intel back plate. Now, the four screws on the back do slide. We're going to be doing an 1155, so they'll go right about to the center. 1366 obviously all the way out to the edges, whereas the 775 would go all the way to the inside. And you'll just get your four screws lined up and popped into the motherboard holes. And it'll go right into place. Coming around the front side of the motherboard, as you can see, four screw holes from the back plate are now lined up, and we've put thermal interface material onto the CPU, and we're going to bring the pump up, and the four screws from the pump will screw into the four screw holes. Now, of course, the four bolts do slide on the pump for your different sockets, so you want to get them lined up, doing an 1155, so it's going to be right about the center. And you want to get your first one lined up. And started. Once you've got the first one started, go caddy corner. The second screw, get that started, and get all four screws lined up and going in. Once you've got them started, be very quick to tighten them up. And they do have a stop, so you are going to tighten until the screw stops. You can do them by hand or with a screwdriver. You are going to want to obviously tighten them up with a screwdriver, the last bit. But they do have a thumb wheel, so if it's quicker to go by hand, you can do that as well to get them started. Once you've got all four hand tight, you want to do the final snugging in an X pattern. And tighten down, pump is in. Next step, now this is going to be a little bit dependent on your motherboard. I'm actually going to attach the fan power next, simply because the fan headers on this motherboard are going to be behind the radiator. So I'm not going to be able to get to them after I've installed the radiator. And I've got two fan headers. Two CPU fan headers, so I'm just going to plug in both fans. I don't need a Y adapter, and I'm not going to need to use the PWM splitter, obviously. And once that's plugged in, we're going to bring the radiator into place. Get our 8-pin cable out of the way so it clears. Get it lined up, and simply the 8 short screws are going to go through the top of the case into the radiator to hold it into place. And just that quick and simple. Obviously, you're going to need to install all 8 of the screws up top, but just for the moment I've just put a couple screws up there just to hold it into place. You're going to want to tuck, obviously, your fan wiring, and finally you're going to want to plug in the pump. And once again, I'm going to use a motherboard header for that. And we're all in place. As I say, obviously, you're going to want to tuck the wiring up. I'm going to need to take the radiator down and actually tuck it back behind the radiator, or I can move it over the side. Tuck it any way I like. You're going to want to clear the fans, however. But it is a quick, easy install and looks great in the case. Really looks like it means business, especially with the black tubing. Very, very high-end looking installation. Really great looking piece from Swiftech. And taking a look with the radiator fully installed, wires tucked. Obviously, depending on where you're going with the pump power cable, you can tuck that as well, but also beautifully black sleeved. So all installed, you've got a great professional look, very, very high-end look on the Swiftech H220. Really fantastically engineered piece with a great installation kit. As you can see, just took a few minutes to install. Very easy, absolutely no hiccups along the way.